120 seconds. 110 seconds. 100 seconds. 90 seconds. 80 seconds. 70 seconds. 60 seconds. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. All right, my friends. Once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. This morning's talk champion in the house. None other than the one and only Cleo Duke-Wright. Good morning, Miss Cleo. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing really good today.
Had a good week?
Yeah, like usual.
Mm-hmm.
Got through a little tough week, but it was okay.
All right. Do anything special this week?
No, but something happened to me on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday at church, and they doing a sermon on the temptations of Jesus, and they put this picture up.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a interracial, intercultural church.
Mm-hmm.
They put this picture up, and it's this picture of Jesus, kind of looking like the Jesus we grew up with, the white Jesus that we grew up with. And then they had the picture of Satan tempting him, and he had like promising him the world. You know, if he'd follow him and kneel down to him. And Jesus had his hand up like this, you know. Satan was black. And not only was he black,
he was not red, like
black. And he had like kinky hair. You know, it looked like kinky to me. It looked like a black man to me. And he had like a black robe. And Jesus had his hand up like this. And Satan is pointing down, I'll give you the world. You know, so I'm looking at this picture. And I kept saying, I know they're kidding. I know that they're, I know they don't see this. They're beautiful people. You know, I know they don't see this. Because all I can think about are the children. And I'm saying, I know they don't see this. So time came for joys and concerns. And joys and concerns that the pastor goes around and asks everybody, you know, their joys and concerns. Well, when it came down, you know, I had to stand up. I said, I want to be the first one to speak on joys and concerns. And, you know, everybody stops and looks at me. And I said, Lord, please let this be the right thing to do, because I'm really feeling this. So I said, that picture is unacceptable. And so I told him about two things, stories that I've told children that turned out that black children would say to themselves, oh no, black is not acceptable. You know, people of color is not acceptable 2 times. And I told him these stories, and I said, pictures tell stories.
Absolutely.
I said, what do you think that picture says? And they're looking at me and they're looking at the picture, and I didn't say it, but I said, now if you turned that around and had Jesus being black and Satan being white saying, I'll give you the world, would they have noticed it then?
I believe so.
So anyway, I said that, and I got a lot of apologies. And the thing that people said to me was, well, Cleo, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. And the person who chose the picture said, I never saw that. I never saw that. I said, we were brought up in the United States of America. I said, yeah, no, we don't see that. It's just so ingrained in us that we don't even see things like that. But I said to myself, I wasn't the only black person sitting in that church.
But you seem to have been the only black person sitting in the church that spoke up.
Well, I was the only one that spoke up, because I insisted on being the first. But I'm saying, would they have said something? If I had not said something, would they have said something? And said, now, I understood that our white brothers and sisters didn't see it, because they're just so used to it. It didn't even dawn on them. You can't tell me my black brothers and sisters didn't see that and didn't think something about that. You know, but I don't know. But I just wanted to make it a word. Don't ever put a picture up there like that again. You know, just so blatant, so blind. But, you know, I don't think I took it too far.
I don't think you took it too far.
And I sat down and I told him I love you, but I know you don't see it, but I'm going to tell you what's there, you know. But how are we, we're having elections now. How are minds in the United States, the American mind? All of us are so many different cultures and so many different races of people. What don't we see about the other guy? What don't we see? What don't we understand? That just told a little story. But what don't we understand? That's bigger than just that picture,
Mm-hmm.
It's all of us. What don't we, the black people, see? Because the black people say, yeah, they saw that. They just did this and they just did that. No, they didn't. They didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't mean anything. It meant something to us. So now we're kind of on the outs because, of course, they saw it. What don't we see? What don't we see? If they don't see that, what don't we see?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what don't other people? It's just, and I'm just thinking that little guy, those few people on the top,
Mm-hmm.
I think they see everything. And I think they could manipulate this confusion.
Well, I do think that there are individuals who do, take advantage of certain things to manipulate confusion. But I really don't. I agree with you. People, they don't see. And I think this is one of the, of course, this is one reason why for me, I am a free speech absolutist. I think until you say something, and I think it's incumbent upon those that do have the perspective to speak up, because by you saying something, they now see why, as you stated. So what don't we see?
Yeah, what don't we
This is the old adage, when you see me, what do you see? When you look at, you driving in the countryside and you see a cow in the field, what do you see? A cow, or do you see cattle, or do you see beef? What do you place on a thing? What do you place on a person? Are they a neighbor, or are they a threat? Are they just someone walking down the street, or are they a potential enemy? How we process things and how we see people was very, very interesting. I was downtown the other day for an event. In fact, it was, well, I won't mention the event because then I'll give away the person I'm getting ready to talk about. It was a high-ranking executive, very high. You almost can't get any higher in rank. And this person is testifying before the Hartford City Council, and they had no socks on. No socks.
It's the style now to wear no socks.
I don't care. Maybe it is about, dress shoes, no socks, as an executive sends a message to me that is, now I'm just saying, now I can't help but think if he was a brown skin executive, that would have been seen as unacceptable. That's why maybe I'm too insulated and isolated in terms of fashion. I mean, look how I'm dressed now. So, I'm not a fashionista, but
it's a fashion thing. On television, going down the street, no socks.
Well, there's a perfect example of my bias. I look at an executive and I think, why don't you have socks on? So see, I'm unaware that that's the new style and everybody's trending.
Trending.
So I'm like having a conniption because, as far as I'm concerned, you're being offensive to come up in here testifying with no. Is that what you see? Is that how you view us? But see, we bring our own set of values and bias to all kinds of things, and it could be totally innocent. You don't know, and so you're out of phase. And
what age was he?
He at least he got to be between 55 and 60. He's old enough to know better. However, that's me talking. See that That's me talking. And I clearly am out of touch when it comes to what is fashionable. I guess, but that's the example, and I think it's incumbent upon those who know to speak up, because that's how things are communicated. Community standards are kept by people communicating with one another what's acceptable, not what's not acceptable. If you say something to somebody that they find offensive, I think it's incumbent upon them to say that's extremely offensive. I wish you would stop. Not go and try and, bring an action against you because you said something that they were offended by. But how do you know? You see what I'm saying?
That's why, my granddaughter said, was offended by something that I said.
Mm-hmm.
And when I called her, I'm talking to her and I call her, she says, we need some space. I have to have some space from you. I'm totally surprised, so I'm saying, okay, you can have all the space you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. She didn't tell me way after she was all offended that I said something about white folks, like that's just like white folks,
Mm-hmm.
something that offended her. And so when I found out, I said, if you're offended, say so. I might have been out of line.
Mm-hmm.
I might have been out of line. I never meant to offend you. Maybe I need to stop saying stuff like that. But she never said anything to her. So we stayed apart a long time. A long time. And periodically we're just apart because nobody ever talks. Grandma talks all the time, but when people get, and a lot of people do this, when they get upset, they just stop talking, go the other way, and nothing to do with you, blah 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 blah. Instead of keeping the conversation going, I do it sometimes. I have to talk myself out of it because I know I'm doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have to talk myself out of stuff like that.
I think it's important for people to reach out to folks when they have something.
Yes.
That's
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut.
when they have something that's when they're bothered by something, they need to speak out. If they don't speak out, the other person, there's no way in the world for them to just automatically assume
Right.
that they,
Yeah, at that case, Sunday, I just felt I had to speak out.
I'm glad you did.
Because it's going to happen again. And they're not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to think that I'm offended or that anybody's offended. And just grinning in their face just does not work. Not for me. So I had to say it, but I felt I had to say it in love because I know that they did not mean to hurt anybody
Mm-hmm.
or offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a way of our world, and we're trying, many of us, trying to get out of that world, out of that. He's black, he's white, he's this, she's that. We're trying to get out of that because that puts us in a position for other people to use us and to manipulate us. As long as we see another human being as a color, as a culture, as a particular, that culture is bad, this culture is good, that color is, it's going to be hard as long as we keep calling each other names. And I just wish that and pray that people of color stop calling each other names, that we get closer together, because it does not make sense. It does not make sense, because if you go back on it, we do have the same history, only in different places. And I just think it's, for us to kick each other and put each other down is just horrible.
Well, it would be nice if humanity treated everybody the same
Yes.
way. We're all human beings on planet Earth. And there's such high levels of intolerance It's people's unwillingness to tolerate someone who's different. And so I think there's a tendency to identify other people by their difference as opposed to the abundant similarities that most people share with one another. I mean, we're all human. So they find the one thing about the person that's totally, totally different. That one thing, and that's what they point to. Oh, the little short person. That you remember that guy that came in here, he was real short. So there's never an effort to identify people by the positive aspects and attributes that they possess.
Yes. But one group of people who are less like that, I think less like that than anybody else, are artists.
Artists?
Yes. Artists don't look, most artists that I know, don't look at things like that. They're just into their art and into their whatever they do, because they're so different than a lot of us that I see less of that in artists.
To me, artists, in my never to be humble opinion, I've said this several times, musicians and artists should run the world.
Yeah,
the world would be a totally different place because they're expressive individuals. They're creative and expressive, and I have found that the people that are creative and expressive have a very high desire to hear other people's expressions.
Yeah,
and appreciate the creativity in other people. Because it's like two-way. In order for yours to be accepted, you need an audience. You paint, but then who's to see it? So, do you like what I did? I like what you did. Yeah, there's this more of a community of sharing, and it cuts across everything.
Yes, it does.
Color, age, gender, and none of those things matter. It's the fact that you have the capacity to express something, and it's appreciated. And that's how we should more be with everything, instead of in stark competition with everyone for everything. Yeah. Yep.
Totally agree with that.
We're having coffee and cookies, so it's time for a cookie break. So it's hard to eat a gingerbread cookie while you're talking on the air. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut, I'm talking to you.
I'm Corrine Blake, resident of Asylum Hill, and if I were the mayor of Hartford, I'd make sure that everyone in the education system knew about the community in which they work, the city in which they work. Because once you know about it, you begin to value the city and you begin to serve in that fashion. I'm really very passionate about education. I'm an early childhood educator, and so I wouldn't be doing any playing around with programming and getting help to the people who work in these areas. It has to be focused, well formatted, and supported. So that's like my biggest thing, because as my mother taught us many, many years ago in Jamaica, once you have education, that's one thing no man can take away from you. You may lose your money, you may lose your property, but once you are well educated, no one can take that from you. And if you have that, then we can build a viable city. Thank you.
Look at your city, stop, take a look around.
Every bad political decision is made by a politician elected to office. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, just remember this. There are people sitting with politicians in a back room making deals about your future, making policies about your children, making decisions about your neighborhood. To them, you are just a vote. You are not their cause. You are just a vote. Elections have consequences, and if you don't vote, you are actually voting to keep these people in power to work against you. Now more than ever, you need to make your vote count. It's time to clear the air and vote for a mayor that is unbought, unbossed, trusted, and accountable to you, the constituent. My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I am an independent thinker, and I approve this message. I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, in the Democratic Party primary election for mayor of the city of Hartford. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. Have the courage to vote your conscience and vote for the name you trust and know. Vote J. Stan McCauley for mayor.
Hi,
My name's J. Stan McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Morning Talk. With your host, J. Stan McCauley, along with the champions of talk. Joining us today, of course, Cleo Duke-Wright. You know, we're here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. With Morning Talk, just conversations. We sit around, we talk. That's what we do. Morning Talk. And if you really, really like to talk, if you like to talk and listen, you already know where I'm going. She already knows where I'm going. If you really like to talk, I invite you to join us at the Greater Hartford African American Alliance meetings. We have meetings every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. From 10 to 12, we talk about issues in the community. Folks bring up subjects, things, and we try to come to some sort of consensus on items and issues which everyone wants to get around and help move forward to in better quality of life for predominantly African Americans in the Greater Hartford community. That's why it's called the African American Alliance. And it's open to anybody can join. But after the meeting, we have what we call the after party, which is the after meeting. And the after meeting has been known to go on for 12 hours. I kid you not. 12 hours is kind of
a long time. I've never been on it that long. Maybe an hour or two.
Hour or two. That's lightweight. Hour or two. Nah.
I don't know how they do that. I mean, I know they're doing other things, but just to sit there and talk for 12 hours, I don't know.
Folks be on there talking, and this isn't like once or twice.
Every week.
This is every single week for at least the last 2 years. Folks, it's the after party, and it's a talk jam. And
you know, there always has been an after party.
Yes, always.
Always, but it's been like after the meeting, the guys would go. Some of the guys would go to a restaurant or a diner, and they continue their conversations for whatever they said. They did that for years and years. The women were not invited. Before that, when we were at Hal's.
Now they weren't invited, or they just didn't go, or it was made real plain.
No, they weren't invited. Then before that, there was, we're at Hal's after the meeting. A group of us would go in the back room there, the bigger room, and we'd be there for several hours just talking and talking and talking and talking. So it always existed in some form. Of course, it never existed for 12 hours, but
that's because you had to close the establishment. You had to get out.
So we ate and we talked, and you know, it's you look forward to that. I always looked forward to that after the meeting, because after the meeting, people really said what they thought and were uninterrupted in their expression or whatever they wanted to say. And so that was always fun, and you learn so much. So, but this is a little different.
It's because we meet virtually. We meet by Zoom. So it's different than if you're sitting in a restaurant and you have, food, and you bring out more coffee, and just have a really nice, and you can look people in the eye and you can feel the tenor and tone.
Yeah.
I don't think I like your tone. Calm down, everybody.
It's different than and in the restaurant there were groups. There was still a guy group. There was a mix, and there was a mixed group, and there was several groups.
And break out in their own little corners, like breakout rooms.
Yeah. Then it was a nice time.
Well, that's really what happens, and I think that one thing that you talk about is the stream of consciousness, and that's one reason why. Because I try to explain it to people that say they don't understand it. And if you have 12 people talk, and everybody talk for 5 minutes, that would be an hour. So imagine 12 people in a conversation, and you have something to say, but it's going to take 20 minutes. And everyone gives you 20 minutes to say what you have to say, and then someone else chimes in.
Yep.
And so time just evaporates. It's as though it's like time stands still. And you're concerned, and it's genuine concern to hear where the other person is coming from.
Because you give them all the time that they need to express themselves of what they want to say. So they're not cut off at all while they're trying to express themselves. So I can understand that you could take 20 minutes. Of course, some people take that anyway.
Right.
They try to take it during the meeting sometime. But at the after party, it's, hey, you want to say it, say it.
Say it. Make it plain. You got listen. We're listening, and there's no rules in the after party, but there's community rules. I think the rule in the after party is let the person speak until they get done and express themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that fosters better understanding, so that you understand where a person's coming from. Because a lot of times we think we understand, and we really don't. We're not really listening. We're waiting for an opportunity to talk. So you didn't hear what the person just
You're
said.
waiting for your opportunity. I'm basically in the meetings. I'm basically a listener. I don't talk too much. I'm listening to people. I'm listening to tones.
And there are a lot of listeners in the meeting.
And that's all I'm saying. Oh,
Right.
What's with that tone? What's on his mind? Or, so are her mind. Sometimes our tones are mistaken.
Yeah.
Sometimes our tones, we mistake what we hear. That happens at the meeting a lot.
Yeah.
Mistaken understanding.
And sometimes people just don't listen. They don't want to hear. I have observed that adults can do the same thing children do. You know, when you're talking to a child and the child don't want to hear and they stick the fingers in their ears. Mm-hmm. They start talking so because they don't want to hear what you have to say. Adults do the same thing. And I think that's one reason why we don't move forward in many cases, because we're not listening. And then the other thing is sometimes people talk, but they really don't have all the information. So it's a borderline of being ignorant and unknowing. But you can't know everything. So I think people need to be able to separate opinion, fact finding, from just being misinformed. And I think misinformed is a legitimate place for someone to be, because this is one reason you come together to become misinformed.
That's what happened the other week. This person said, "Is that fact or opinion?"
Mm-hmm. Your mic.
Oh, is that fact or opinion? What is that? And so the person who was talking got a little upset because he said, "That's not. Where is it? Where is it? Can I see it? Is it on paper? Come on, is it actually a fact?" And the person who was talking got a little upset with him, but he was just trying to make a point. Is this just some kind of rhetoric, just people's opinion, or is it fact? What is it? Do we act upon it or don't we act upon it? What is it? And the person who was speaking, and that happens to a lot of us, got because she was very emotional about the information she was giving. Mm-hmm. And he was a listener. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to pinpoint. And she, I guess, wanted us to just grab it and have an opinion and, take it as truth, I guess. And he said, "Wait a minute, what is this?"
Those are, I think that's all very, those are legitimate questions. When you're delivering information to somebody, they have a right to vet their information, because doesn't mean I know. You think, therefore I should know. I mean, there's a whole lot of that going around too. Because the worst case scenario is they have weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, we always
okay, well, come on, bring on the bombers. We couldn't find it. Well, that's what I had heard. Well, but you may not have bombed another country into the Stone Ages, but you bomb a community or a person. It's very important to have
the information. I think my son is constantly going back to the weapons of mass destruction. Oh, where are they? Oops. And we never found any kind of.
Never found them.
Maybe they weren't there. I don't know, but that's always brought up in conversations when people are not talking facts. They're.
If you're in a meeting, and this is, I always tell people, look, because sometimes people will call me, so and so was saying something that just wasn't true, or the other one that rings is, so and so was talking about somebody and they weren't there to defend themselves, and you shouldn't allow that. And I said, well, first of all, they're grown. So I'm not in a position to allow or disallow grown folk to say stuff in conversation. And being a free speech absolutist, You say whatever you want. Your words have consequences. Sometimes they could be dire to you, the one speaking them, because you might say something that upsets somebody so much that they roll up on you. So you have to be responsible. But put them in check then. If someone says something is wrong, just like you did at the church, if you see something that you don't agree with, the time to deal with it is right then. You have to deal with it then. You can't deal with it somewhere else down the road because you were afraid to speak up now.
And you know, I when I was sitting in church, I thought of that, to wait till after church and then tell them it was offensive. But I would have to go one by one, a couple of people at a time, instead of telling the whole church.
Right.
And so I said, oh no, we got to tell the whole church that this is offensive to me. But if I had waited, so that's when I said I got to say it now.
Yeah, it's incumbent upon you to do it right now. You know, life isn't fair, and we're given opportunities left and right. And the way it's always explained to me, way back, is that you don't have to search for opportunity. You have to move it out of the way to get out of the house. Opportunity is everywhere. People just don't take it. So if you're in a room full of people and someone says something wrong, then it is and you know it's wrong, it's your responsibility to say something and correct it. You don't let the whole room leave thinking something that's not true and then talk about so-and-so said something. Meanwhile, now it's all. So we have a lot more power within our communities to do stuff. You don't have to be a superhero. Sometimes the superhero is a person that says, hold up a second. Could you explain how you came to that conclusion? Then everyone's keyed in. Oh, that is a good question. Could you explain that? Come to find out they can't explain it because they don't know what they're talking about. And that's not your fault that they came and didn't know what they were talking about. You just asked for some clarity. They have none. If we did that a little bit more often, all of us would be better served.
And there are some people we just refuse to question. You know. Oh, that's so and so. We can't question him because
anyone can be questioned.
It question her because you know, and they stand up there and they talk this crap, and you sit there. Of course, it's not always, you know, you're not always in a position to express how you feel. It may not be the right, arena to express how you feel. All the time. So sometimes you do have to kind of sit there, like when someone is making a speech and there's all this audience. You just don't stand up and say, well, I don't agree with you. You just don't agree with them. You don't just do that. But sometimes you feel like doing that. Like, what? And are you talking?
You make the, as Alfonso McGriff says, the you're wrong. You're wrong! Those are fighting words. So now you have a fight going back and forth. So if you're having conversation, let the person finish their whole train of thought. Then you have reasonable back and forth. And you can leave that conversation with much, much better information, much better informed.
That's very calm. You're doing this. It's very calm. We don't even see that in the Congress.
The Congress is out of control.
That we don't even see them.
They've degenerated into a bunch of squabbling kids going back and forth, taking sides. And if you're not on my side, you're on the wrong side. I'm not going to work with you anymore. It's...
Yeah. Well, that's what happens in politics.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not for me, you're against me. Get out of here.
Right.
You know. And just because you're not for them in this particular area, you might be for them in some other area.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
We can agree to disagree.
So how do you pick the people who you're going to work with if you insist that they agree with you all the time? I don't agree with anybody all the time. I at least I haven't in my lifetime all the time.
We've become very intolerant. I think one of the unintended consequences of the recognize me, see me for who I am, has caused everybody to start to become very self-centered, nigh unto self-absorbed, to where it's just about me. I won't get overly biblical or anything, but that was Adam and Eve's problem. They became aware of self. And they stepped away from the Creator in doing so. So if you're only concerned about self, then nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Yes. Self is at the center. So now is your interest supersedes the interest of the whole. Everyone's now in it for self. Well, I may as well get out of this what I can. So no one is there for the greater good or to serve the public. And it's starting to, 1 becomes 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, 8, 16, and it just multiplies. And now it's kind of out of control. I guess at some point the pendulum will swing back. But where are people working for the common good? And so the old adage was, know them that labor among you. How well do you know this person? And are they dedicated to helping the greater good? And if you can't say that about a person, then you don't know them. You don't know them. And so, is that the kind of person you want? Now, other folk, and in politics these days, it would seem that people can be easily purchased because there's something in it for them. So what do you want? Well, I want a parking lot. Well, I want a job for my son. I want to, if you give me this, then I'll give you this. And so the people no longer have representation. They're just left to be used and exploited because all of their representatives have been compromised. And that's a terrible place for communities, municipalities, nations to be in, because then you get knucklehead leaders that go to war and fight one another, and the people suffer.
Yeah.
The people suffer. Whenever there's a war in the leadership ranks, the people suffer. The people suffer.
So, do we have some leaders who are interested in our best welfare right now in office? Do we have a leader?
I think we do. I think there are leaders. I think there are leaders who are genuinely interested in the welfare of the communities and the constituents that they serve. I don't know how many of them there are, whether they're, I just don't know. But I want to believe that there are some that genuinely do want that. I believe that all of them, not all, but most, were like that when they got in.
Oh, I believe that.
They may not be like that now, but they were
when they came in,
like that when they got in. And I think that sometimes people don't have a good constitution, moral constitution,
Well, when
So they compromise while they're there, and then they get caught up in the meat grinder.
Well, when you find out that things aren't like you thought they were, and people that you trusted were not how you thought they were, and then there are things that are happening, you have a choice. I don't know. You have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go along with this to get along? Are you going to go along to get along? Or are you going to fight and go past, or are you going to step out? So, you have those choices. Me, I step back.
I think a lot of people step out.
That was me. I stepped out. I stepped out because I said, how do you I'm going to have to fight every day. I'm going to have to fight every day. And, they slice you. All of a sudden, people aren't talking to you. And all of a sudden, they looking at you funny. Maybe you're not being invited places that you used to be invited to. So,
peer pressure is enormous.
See, I just moved and I took out all of these citations. I have a bag of citations. I mean, so many citations. And I put them in a bag, and my husband and I were going through them. I mean, what are these things? What are these things for?
Right.
I mean, my goodness. He says, are you going to put some of them up on the wall? I said, well, maybe a few. Maybe a few that I like. But a lot of times when I was given citations, I had absolutely no idea.
Why am I getting this?
Why am I getting this? What? And especially when you're up sitting with people who have actually done so much. I can remember sitting at a table. I think there were about maybe 12 of us. And I can look around at some of those people who have done so much. And I said, what in the world am I sitting up here for? I had no idea. So, I think that was the last citation that I received. And they gave you several of them, not just one, several. So I put them away. I didn't understand why I got it. I put it away. So maybe someday I'll put some of them on. Oh, but the ones that I like, the ones that I got from Miss Cleo Storytelling Corner, those are the ones I like. I said, yeah, I was that. Yeah, that's all right. You give me that. But
yeah, those were good ones.
Those are good ones because I participated in that, and people voted for me. So I felt like I earned that. I earned it. So I don't know. I just like those. I said, well, we'll put these up. But it seems like I backed off in about 2017. I kind of backed off because I was seeing things and doing that I was not comfortable with. So I think that's when I backed off.
Well, it is unfortunate that
and people bribe you in funny ways. They say little things to you like, "Oh, how's your bookstore going? You think blah 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 blah." I'd say, "Oh, my bookstore's going fine." Blah 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 blah. Of course, it wasn't, but I said that anyway because I said, "How instead of getting up screaming at the person or I just said that. Or, what do you want? I really hate that.
Yeah.
What do you want?
So, what do you want? You want something? What do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah. What do you want?
It could be a real benefit for you.
So I said, oh, I can't play this game because Nathan and Earlene would not approve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have two choices. You can resign and move on, or you could stay and try and make a difference.
But they're gonna beat you up every single day.
Yes and no. The it takes everyone can't do everything.
Right.
And there are ways to move mountains. There are ways to change the direction of rivers. There's ways to get to the top of mountains. There's ways to get to the moon and the deepest parts of the sea. So there are things can be done. It's a matter of the commitment to doing it, and having a plan, if you will, but
A plan and having a tough skin.
And having very, very, very tough skin.
My skin is a little tougher than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's tough enough.
Well.
But it's tougher than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can't walk over me quite as easily, but
yeah, you gotta kind of be built for certain things.
Yeah.
Everyone's not built to be a fireman.
Yeah.
Or a soldier. But there are soldiers, and there are firefighters.
Yeah.
And there are people who hand out, information at the visitor's desk. There's candy stripers. There's people who do all kinds of things, and sometimes you don't have the right person in the right place, and that can make all the difference in the world. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. We'll take another break. I'm gonna play this now rather than at the end of the program, because that way people will get to hear it. All right, it's the official McCauley for Mayor song. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oh my gosh, we got a song.
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut. I'm talking to you. We got to get out and vote. Vote for Stan McCauley. It's our time. We got to rise up and take it back. Vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan. You got to vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Oh yeah.
It's more than politics than just what your social covers. And it ain't somewhere written down in bold letters. Don't just take my word for it, do your research. Think of your future, look at your bigger picture. Suit and tie, clean up, unity for the righteous. Plotting on action, hands on access. With a light source vision, door to door knocking. Guerrilla style marketing, brainstorm as a collective. Real neighborhood suggestions. Only we know what it is where we living. To make real life decisions. Move on facts, make it manifest back.
You gotta vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Oh yeah. Look at your city. Stop. Take a look around. Is opportunity flow into your house? Are you working? Wait, can you save some money? And is your neighborhood safe? Or is it a homicide every night? Vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. It's time to make a difference. Get out and vote. You vote. Go and vote. We can change it, yeah.
Hi, my name is Marlon E. Styler Sr. Many of you may know me as the two-time welterweight champion of the world. I'm here to tell you that Democrat J. Stan McCauley, as our next mayor, will fight for you until the last bell. Help me throw a knockout punch. Go out and vote for Stan the Man.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I approve this message.
Oh, yeah. All right, my friends. We're back. Yeah, that's the official song. You never saw the official song, huh? You never saw it?
I saw him hit that bag once, but I don't remember hearing the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really hasn't gotten the broad play that it will eventually. But, yeah, that's the official campaign song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, when I get my Zoom up this month, then I will play that song.
Yeah.
You have to let me, play that song for you.
Yeah. So pull your mic up. So, any plans for the weekend?
Not any big plans. I hope I have one rest day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping. I have one rest day, get everybody settled, and I had to get a little tough this week with my youngin', and pray that I stay strong.
Amen.
Pray that I stay strong. But that's gonna be my weekend. Keep my blood pressure down. And just keep praying.
All right.
Just keep praying.
Well, there's a lot of things happening this weekend. I know that.
That's something that sometimes I lose it when I'm saying, what's happening? Where can I go? So I've been reading the daily papers to see what has been going on in Hartford, but I've seen a few things. I've seen a thing on Park Street, the dance. I don't know if that's already gone by. And there's something on the 12th. There was a few things that I might go to.
The Carrie Saxon Perry mural is going to be unveiled tomorrow at Sands School. There's a mural that's going to be on the side, an installation, and so the unveiling is tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow at 1. Yeah.
At Sands School.
Sands School.
You gonna be there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to do a show, Mayor Carrie Saxon Perry. I approached her with the idea of a show, and she was very, very open to it. It was called 30 Minutes with Mayor Carrie Saxon Perry.
Did she do it?
Oh yeah, she did.
She did.
Yeah. And it ran for several, for a while. She would come into the studio and she'd do a half hour.
Oh.
It was based on, in my mind, 60 minutes. In fact, I used this watch. This watch used to be part of the opening theme. And you could see the second hand tick, 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 tick.
She also came to the participants in Soup and Services and wrote a letter and when she was mayor, and invited her to our Thanksgiving dinner. And she came. And out of all the people that we invited, she answered and she came. Of course, we invited people that we knew couldn't come, but we just wanted to invite them anyway. We invited Oprah, we invited Whoopi, and we invited Gail. Whoopi, Gail had no response, but Whoopi wrote this beautiful letter to us. And also we got a call from Oprah. We got a call from Oprah. So we were happy.
Wow.
Yeah, her people. We were happy with that.
Big old call.
Yes. Yeah. So, but she came and it just made their day. They were just so excited because they planned the whole day. It was a program, and they planned and put on, and she was there, and it was wonderful. Yeah.
All right.
She paid attention to us. You know.
Yeah, she was a dynamic, forward-thinking, out-of-the-box, innovative woman. Yeah. Madam Mayor, a.k.a. The Hat. Carrie Saxon Perry. Yeah. All right. Well, Miss Cleo, I think that kind of like wraps it up for us. I have a production today at 10 that I got to go to. And it's actually about the installation. So the actual installation is going to be today. But the unveiling, the big unveil is tomorrow. So I'm going to go cover and do a story around.
Where's that installation going to be? Same place?
At same place, Sand. Yeah. I'm going to do I'm going to do a story about the people who are doing this. Because this is history. This is Hartford history.
Oh, I wish I had a picture of her in the soup kitchen eating with us. That would have been nice to show.
Oh yeah. All right, take one more break, and then we'll be right back, and then we'll wrap it up for the week. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. Morning Talk.
How do you define evil? Is evil the pedophile school administrator or taxation without representation? Is it the gatekeeping community leaders who sell out the very people they were elected to fight for? Or is evil the politician that puts out lies and takes in cash? However you may classify evil, having to choose the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. Nowhere does this rule apply more than during an election for mayor. Choosing a candidate who is the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. No wonder so many people don't vote. It's time for the constituents to flip the script and vote for a mayor you can trust. My name is J.C. McCauley. I am an independent thinker, and I approve this message. I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, in the Democratic Party primary election for mayor for the city of Hartford. I, like you, am an independent thinker. So let's sit down and talk about my path to victory and why my 5-point plan for Hartford will work. Stop listening to the uninformed evil interests that tell you I can't win. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. Have the courage to vote your conscience. Vote for the name you trust and know. Vote McCauley for mayor.
Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, welcome back. We're having a little off-air conversation. That's a good question. That's a good question. You know, that should be a question that's asked during the debate.
And that should also be a question or an answer to how you stand on things like that for people who are working for you.
Yeah.
Let it be clear. This is how I feel about this. That's what I was actually trying to get at. Make it clear.
Make it clear. I said publicly that I've said this every time I've ever run. I say the same thing. The first time I said it was on Dennis House's program.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, everyone that works at the pleasure of the mayor should be looking for a new job. And right now there's 2 exceptions. I told both of those people that they were exceptions to that rule. And so I was someplace 2 days ago, not yesterday, the day before. And I watched one of the city employees who works at the pleasure of the mayor in action. I've seen this person in action before, but the way they handled this,
superb.
You a better person than me, because I'd have lost it up in there. It was so bad I can't even talk about it. I'll tell you when we go off the air. And so at the end of the meeting, I called the person over. I says, I am on record publicly that everyone that works at the pleasure of the mayor needs to think about finding another work. It's just a standard operating procedure for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you don't have to worry. Your job is safe. What you did here tonight was, you ain't got to worry. You're good. I'm person my word. Yeah.
Wow.
Excellent. I won't say who these people are because I don't want to create
but you don't
chaos.
You don't want to lose good people, no matter who
Right.
you work for. If they're gonna maybe work for you, you don't.
Yeah,
want
everyone's gonna have to reapply. I'm sure there are some good folk up in there. Yeah, everyone has to reapply and be evaluated. But right, we're not gonna destabilize the city. But yeah, but what do you do when people come to you asking for favors once you get into City Hall? If they've helped you get there, if they made a donation or something like that, people want access to the mayor because they believe that the mayor is in a position to give them or make the road easier for them. And you may have I'll give you an audience, but the audience is not a yes to the favor. It's an opportunity to be heard. I think that's fair. But access? Absolutely not. Why? And I can say that because there's no one donated or helped in any significant way whereby they should be getting anything. I have no donations by parking lot magnets, heads of major institutions.
None?
I don't want it. Once you take, you owe. There's a reason people give.
Once you take,
you owe. Right. You don't owe a favor to anybody to whom didn't give in exchange for one. Hey, so if I tell you, look, I want access to X, Y, and Z. Let me see how I can help out your campaign. That's a given. It's quid pro quo, right? It's reciprocity, right?
Reciprocity.
Right,
okay.
Right. A little of this, a little of that. I'm not looking. Drop something in the backhand. Oh my God, what is this? Oh, how about that?
I like that reciprocity.
Yeah, that's the word, reciprocity. Yeah. So, no. That's what's wrong. Everyone is what's in it for me. Yeah. The only people that contribute to the campaign right now are the voters. Those are the number one people. You're supposed to be representing the voter, the constituent. not have the constituents representative co-opted by a special interest that gave the maximum amount of what, 1,000 something? So you buy a politician for $1,000? Meanwhile, the voter who's paying more than that in taxes gets nothing. Zero. They're used, exploited, taxed, because all the money comes from the voters. Right. They're taxed, feed, right? Oh, you got to pay a fee, you got to pay a tax, you got to pay a ticket, this, that, and the third, and then you're looked at with the evil eye because you call and ask for, trash to be picked up or something's wrong on your street. You're treated like a criminal in your own city. You have ideas about your city and you're laughed at. And by the way, this is citywide, because I attended a meeting in the West End and they were talking about wanting to have the bike trails come down through Elizabeth Park and off of Asylum, because they want to put bike lanes on Asylum. Mm-hmm. And the people in the West End are certain folk are going to get killed. And it's going to just make things worse. Why not bring it through Elizabeth Park? And then down Elizabeth Street, where there's no traffic, and things would be so much easier, calmer, and better. But the people that bring this up are laughed at. Well, that won't, because the plan is already set.
So it's already decided.
The plan's already decided. So they just do the dog and pony. Yeah, they're just doing it.
That's a better idea.
Yeah. There you go. You got it. Even though that's a better idea. Yeah, just snap it in. Yeah, there you go. And then you got it. You got it.
All right.
Even though that's a better idea, it's too late. But this is the first time they bring the plan, and they do that all over the city. But you don't get the chance to go to all of the different meetings. So you think that when it happens to you, you're the only one that it's happening to. And they don't have citywide meetings where they can go through the overall picture. They coordinate and separate you into just your community, so you think that it's just you. It's not just you. It's everybody. But if everybody understood that there's other people that they're going through the same thing and feel this way, they'd have a hard time keeping you all under control. It's all about control. But it's your government. It's your government. It's not the party's government. It's not some magical people's government or some private group of folk. It's your government. So the government should be responsive to you.
You should see the whole picture.
See the whole picture. If people had the information and the information was solid, fact-based, and they could see where the benefit would be shared by them and their neighbors, people would buy into it without problem. But because the powers that be think that they're going to get pushback and not be able to do a thing and don't want to explain stuff, they present themselves as the bigger power that knows all, and you guys should just acquiesce and do what we want. We know what's best for you.
So what's their take? Why do they want it the route that they have it?
Because they want it to be this part of the traffic calming scheme. If you narrow the road, traffic moves slower because the perception to the driver is that you're driving fast. So you'll have a natural tendency to slow down because the road isn't real wide. So there are all of these different traffic calming theories that they have. And I tape these things. I used to tape these meetings ad nauseum 20, 30 years ago. This is the stuff they're doing now. It's not new. It's just now coming to fruition. But the original genesis of these plans are 20 and 30 years old. That's how long it takes to do stuff. So like I was there when they started these conversations. There's no, I tell you, there'll be very few meetings that I could go to happening in Hartford, anywhere about the community, that I haven't already heard the conversation and could probably finish most of them. Because it's the same stuff. And on some of it I could produce footage of the meeting. A lot of it. So,
So they're not going to entertain this new idea that the
new idea is coming. The new idea.
Because their idea is 30 years old, and they're not going to change it.
Right. They're not going to change it. It's because the powers that be believe that they are right. It's a theory. You can point to other cities where these things have worked, but you could also point to other cities where these things have been disastrous. But those aren't the things that they bring to you. So when people bring information and they bring data to back up the information, the data always is going to back up what it is they're trying to propose. That's not that what they're proposing is wrong. It's the way and the practice by which they introduce it to the community that I take issue with. Your idea is a great idea. Now let's see if the community buys into it. But be prepared for them to say no and come up with several alternatives so that they can so we can build consensus. And it doesn't have to take forever. You can actually do this rather quickly if you do it correctly and use good communication skills and talk to people, explain to them what the benefits are. And the more people you have from different parts of the city and community, the better you have differing ideas that you can come to consensus on. Everything doesn't have to be a war or a fight. It's presented that way so that it is contentious. It doesn't need to be contentious. Mm-hmm. I've done this so many times I could do it in my sleep through someone else. Working with people who don't get along with each other, hate each other, disagree with each other, but will work with each other for a common good. Because you need each other. Once people understand they need each other to get something done, they'll work with each other. And then they actually find out that they might actually like each other. Because the thing that's keeping them apart is some misconception or something that they have heard about somebody. And they find out, wow, we could actually be friends.
You know what? That happened. I think I don't know if it's the only time it happened. But someone told someone something about me. And I didn't even know the person. That person never spoke to me, didn't speak to me to this day. I don't know. And I don't even really know him. Mm-hmm. I never had conversations with him, nothing. And I don't know what the person said, but the person came to me and apologized. But I guess never had a conversation. And when I see this person in person, they always treat me very negatively, so I just go on. But I just hope I just never am quite like that, crazy like that. But people do that.
They do, unfortunately. All right, well, our time together has come to an end, Miss Cleo. I always enjoy talking to you on Fridays. Thank God. It's the start of my weekend.
Oh, good, because I enjoy being here.
Yeah, it's
you know that. Make sure that door's unlocked, because I'm coming in.
Oh yeah. All right, well.
Okay.
All right, another good Friday. Hey, you all out there have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a spectacular week. Do something for your friends and family. And Miss Cleo, I'll see you next week.
Okay, see you next week.
All right, we'll see you all later on. You all have a blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye.